The movie starts out by introducing us to two guys named Leland Jones and William Orther. We see them walking out of their hotel room, looking completely calm and cool. But it's pretty obvious that whatever went down in that room was anything but peaceful. They're somewhere in the U.S., and Leland tells William he's going to go pay the bill before they take off. They're traveling together in this car, and you notice right away that Leland is well into his 50s, while William is just in his 20s. After Leland comes back from the front desk, William asks him what took so long. Leland just says he had a little issue with room service, but that he took care of it. Leland wants something to drink, but when he checks the car, they're out of everything. So he tells William to go into the motel office and fill up a bottle from the water cooler. William walks in, minding his own business, but then he sees a bloody handprint on the desk. The hotel clerk is sitting in his chair, literally soaked in blood, and the maid is dead on the floor in a pool of blood too. While William is filling the bottle, a little girl opens the door between the office and the hallway. As soon as she sees the scene, she's paralyzed with fear. William just puts his finger to his lips, tells her to be quiet, and then, without missing a beat, he pulls out his gun and shoots her dead. In the next scene, we meet Tom Stahl. He's the owner of a small diner in a quiet little town. We also meet his wife, Edie, and we find out they have a 16-year-old son named Jack and a 10-year-old daughter named Sarah. From their daily routine, you can really see how much Tom and Edie love each other and their family. They're just really grateful for the life they have. When Tom goes to the diner, you notice that everyone there knows each other. They're all saying hi and calling each other by name. It shows you just how small this town is and how local the vibe is. It feels like a typical small-town America. Moving on, we find out that Jack plays baseball for the school team. We see him catch the ball to end the game, but then Bobby Singer, the school bully, starts messing with him in the locker room while he's changing. Bobby tries to provoke Jack into a fight, but Jack just cracks a joke and walks away from the confrontation. Later that night, Bobby and his girlfriend are driving around, looking bored out of their minds and searching for some trouble to get into. Since they're kind of jerks, they decide to mess with Jack and his girlfriend, Judy Danvers, who are hanging out on the side of the road. But as they're driving, they almost crash into a truck. Bobby wants to act tough with the people in the truck, but he gets scared immediately when he sees the look on their faces. It turns out the people in that truck are Leland and William. They give the kids this terrifying look, like they're telling them they're playing with fire. After that, William mentions how much he hates people like those kids. The next thing you know, Leland and William show up at Tom's diner right as he's about to close. Leland calmly asks for a cup of coffee and a slice of pie. Tom tells them that they're actually closed, but Leland snaps at him and says he doesn't care. He wants his coffee. Tom decides to just go along with it to avoid trouble, and tells Charlotte, the waitress working with him, to pack up and go home. But as she's trying to leave, William grabs her and forces her to sit down. Tom assumes they're just there to rob the place, so he tells them they can have the money from the safe if they just leave quietly. At that point, Leland pulls his gun and says he's taking the money anyway, and then he tells William to kill Charlotte. In that split second, Leland gets distracted. At the same time, William moves toward Charlotte. Tom grabs a pot of hot coffee, splashes it right in Leland's face, jumps over the counter, and tackles him to the ground. The gun flies out of Leland's hand. Tom scrambles for the gun while William starts shooting at him, but he misses. Tom leans against a chair, grabs the gun, and fires 3 shots into William's chest. Then Leland gets up and stabs Tom in the leg with a knife, but Tom immediately shoots him in the head, killing him instantly. The press starts calling Tom a hero. They're covering everything that happened, but when they ask for an interview, Tom turns them down. He goes to the hospital, and later he sees his story on the front page of the newspaper and all over the local news. Luckily, his leg injury isn't too serious, but he has to rest for a couple of days because it's hard for him to move around. A few days later, Tom is back at the diner when three men in suits walk in. They look suspicious and definitely aren't locals. They sit down, and the leader, who's wearing sunglasses, keeps calling Tom Joey. Tom keeps telling him that's not his name and that he must have him confused with someone else, but the guy is dead set that he knows exactly who Tom is. Edie gets fed up with their comments and insists they take their order and leave. The man gives Tom a $100 bill and says they've paid their bill and are now customers. When Edie threatens to call the cops, the men finally leave. Later, we see them driving down the road when a police car pulls them over. The officer, Sam Carney, is a local cop who takes his job seriously. But the men in the car, especially the leader, don't care about his threats at all. They just tell him they're tourists. That same day, Sam visits Tom and Edie to talk about the incident. He warns them that these guys are mobsters who've committed a lot of murders on the East Coast. He says he called his contacts in Philly and the FBI, but he couldn't find any record of the name they called Tom. However, he found out the leader's name is Richard Fogarty and that he's from Philly. From that point on, these guys start stalking Tom and his family everywhere. A few days later, after Tom sees their car heading toward his house, he runs home, even with his bad leg, and grabs his shotgun, only to realize no one is actually there yet. On another day, Edie is shopping at the mall when her daughter wanders off. While she's looking for her, she runs into Fogarty. He starts talking to her like they're old friends, telling her that her husband isn't who she thinks he is and that he's lying to her. Edie immediately defends Tom, but Fogarty tells her to just ask Tom about Richie Cusack, who is supposedly Tom's brother. He also tells her to ask Tom how good he is at killing people. That same day, Jack is at school, and Bobby starts bullying him again. Jack finally reaches his breaking point from all the harassment. He snaps and beats Bobby and his friends so badly that Bobby ends up in the hospital. This shows that Jack was always capable of this, but he was just holding back. When Jack gets home, he and Tom get into a massive fight about what happened. Jack tells Tom that since Tom himself killed two people with a gun, he should be the last person giving out advice. Tom loses his temper and slaps Jack, who then runs away from the house. Shortly after, Tom sees Fogarty's car parked in front of his house. Fogarty and his men get out and suggest that Tom put his shotgun down and come with them. When Tom refuses, one of the guys pulls Jack out of the car. Fogarty makes it clear that he knows exactly who Tom is, and that Tom has no choice but to go back to Philly with them to meet some important people. Tom is forced to drop his weapon, and they let Jack go. Jack runs into the house. When they tell Tom to get in the car, Tom suggests they just leave quietly. One of the guys puts a gun to Tom's head. Edie is watching everything from the upstairs window. She sees Tom suddenly grab the guy's arm, break it, and then punch him in the face repeatedly. Then he shoots the other guy twice in the chest. It's crystal clear now that Tom knows exactly how to handle a weapon. Fogarty then shoots Tom in the shoulder, causing him to drop his gun. Fogarty stands over Tom, who is on the ground, and asks if he has anything he wants to say. Tom looks at him and says, "I should have killed you back in Philly." Fogarty smiles and says, "You're right." Just then, Jack quietly picks up the shotgun and kills Fogarty before he can shoot Tom. Tom looks at his son and realizes his secret life is out. He takes the gun from Jack, feeling angry, but then hugs him, knowing Jack just saved his life. Jack is traumatized and starts crying. That night, Edie confronts Tom at the hospital. She's crying and begs him to tell her the truth. She tells him she saw him kill those men and that he moved like a professional. Tom finally confesses. He tells her that when he was younger, he was part of the mob, and his name was Joey Cusack. He left that life years ago after a falling out with Fogarty, who is a known psychopath. Tom decided to leave that life behind, change his name to Tom Stall, and become a new person. He even admits he used to kill for the money and the crazy thrill of it. Edie is completely shocked. The next day, Sheriff Sam comes by the house to ask more questions about Fogarty. He says these guys are very high-level mobsters, and they wouldn't travel all the way from Philly unless they were 100% sure they had the right guy. Tom is on the verge of confessing that he is indeed Joey, but Edie suddenly jumps in and defends him. Sam eventually leaves, but as he's standing at the door, he gives them a look that says he knows they're lying. Once he's gone, Edie pulls away from Tom. She can't stand to be near him. She slaps him, calls him Joey, and screams that she hates him. They get into a physical struggle on the stairs, but eventually they end up reconciling. That night, Tom gets a call from Richie himself. Richie threatens him and asks if Tom is coming to him or if he has to come to Tom. Tom gets dressed and leaves at dawn, driving day and night until he gets to Philadelphia. He meets a guy at a bar who takes him to a massive mansion. There, Tom meets Richie, who is dressed in fancy clothes and looks very confident. Richie seems happy to see his younger brother again. They talk for a bit, and Richie explains all the trouble and cleanup costs he had to pay the mob because of the mess Joey made before he disappeared. Tom doesn't want anything to do with the mob life anymore and tells Richie to get to the point. What does he need to do to fix this? Richie calmly says, "It would be better for everyone if you just died, Joey." Richie turns away so he doesn't have to watch his driver strangle Tom with a wire. But Tom expected this. He gets his hand between his neck and the wire, pushes back against Richie's desk, and kills the driver and the other bodyguards in the room with his bare hands. Richie tries to shoot him, but misses. Tom escapes, and Richie thinks he went out the front door, so he runs after him. But Tom is still inside. He locks Richie out. Tom kills the last of the guards and then opens the door for Richie. As Richie tries to get back in, Tom shoots him right in the head. In the final scene, Tom returns home. He finds his family sitting at the table, about to start dinner. He looks exhausted. He sits down, and his daughter, Sarah, brings him a plate so he can eat with them. Edie bows her head in prayer, and Jack sits there in total silence. Finally, Edie looks up with tears in her eyes. Tom looks back at her, looking incredibly sad. They stare at each other in a way that shows their relationship is forever changed, but there's a sense that they might find a way to move forward. And that's where the story ends.